Motivation doesn't stay home when we travel. And neither does Peloton. You can connect your property to millions of dedicated Peloton members worldwide and connect your guests to an elevated fitness experience that moves your business and your brand forward. Because when it comes to travel and fitness, we say yes to both. Travel everywhere, train anywhere. Destination Peloton.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on Wellness Redefined. My name is Joanna Lee. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Peloton Commercial, and I'm so thrilled to be joined by our esteemed panel of experts across wellness, hospitality, and travel. I'd love to quickly start with a round of introductions, and I'll first pass it to Mia.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Mia, and I am the Chief Love Officer of Caricos and Associates. We are a global consultancy dedicated to the business of wellness worldwide.
Wonderful. Why don't we go to Dustin next?
Dustin Abihan, Vice President of Health and Performance at Canyon Ranch. I'm a sports medicine and sports science practitioner. I've spent most of my career in Olympic and professional sport before coming to Canyon Ranch.
Incredible. And on to you, Anna.
My name is Ana Linares, and I am a travel photographer and consultant for hotels and brands.
Amazing. And then Lara.
Hi, everyone. Laura Hernandez here. I'm a long-term hospitality girl that works at Hilton now. I am the Senior Vice President of Global Brand Strategy, Planning, and Innovation, and I have the privilege and pleasure of working across many priorities where we focus on things that are cross-brand, cross-category, looking across 18 brands to bring things to life in a regionally relevant way, and like our wellness efforts and focus here at Hilton.
Wonderful. And I love that we have such a variety of perspective here, representing operators, representing the guest experience. It's going to be a great discussion. I'd love to start by first taking a step back. The word wellness seems to be everywhere right now. And it's so buzzy, it's so expansive, especially on the heels of the last few years we've had. I'd love to start by talking about wellness and how we might define it. Dustin, I know you have some strong opinions here.
Yeah, I'm an academic nerd, so I like definitions. And so I think we need to separate what health and wellness are and mean to people. Health, if you look at what the WHO calls it, is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being. So if you think about it's a state, you either are healthy or you're not. And that could be physical, it could be mental, it could be social. Wellness is the pursuit of that. So wellness is basically lifestyle or behavior. It's saying, I want to get healthy physically, mentally, socially, and I can learn about that. I can take on new behaviors to seek that. I can go places and focus on it. I can meet with experts and do things to intervene on whatever part of health that I think I need to do better at. So wellness is the pursuit of health. Health is the state. And I think that sometimes we get caught on maybe wellness is feeling good, or I think some people think wellness is thriving. And it's really, it's more about a behavior than a feeling. And I think people should seek that out if they're seeking wellness.
Amazing. I love the specificity there and the academic perspective. Would love to hear, Mia, your thoughts on that, and knowing you're coming off a few days spent in Tel Aviv at the Global Wellness Summit.
Yes. Well, I think I actually concur with Dustin from an academic standpoint. The Global Wellness Institute defines wellness as the pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health. And I would say, and well-being, because the companies we work with and the organizations where I've had the benefit of leading health and wellness for the hospitality industry, we're always trying to define what that looks like. And from a consumer standpoint, really building off the behavior definition, I really think it's the habits and steps we take to care for our own health and well-being. That's wellness. And that destination that we're always looking for is well-being that's dependent on things both within and outside of our control. But yes, the summit you mentioned in Tel Aviv last week, I'm looking forward to sharing insights as we all talk today.
Amazing. Shifting gears slightly, we can't ignore the pandemic's impact on the landscape of travel and more specifically wellness expectations for our travelers on the road. Laura, I'd love to hear from you on what you're seeing from an operator perspective and how you're working with your GMs to really deliver on the expectations of guests and what they're looking for on the road.
Sure. Well, wellness has been a long time priority for us at Hilton, but I think what's really changed is post-pandemic, how travelers think about everything in their life, from where they live to where they work, where they want to travel to, getting a dog or not getting a dog, all the bits in between that sort of were put on the table in people's lives. And wellness is no different. Customers and travelers really want to be met by where they are in their journey by the brands that they know and love. And so we start with, really doubling down on that and thinking differently and really thinking about differentiating what does this mean for our travelers and what does this mean across all of our hotels, starting with thinking about what are our customers telling us. We're doing a lot of surveying, a lot of research. We recently surveyed 7,000 travelers around what's on their mind around wellness, and 50% of them told us that in 2023, the travel that they want has to have a component of mental and physical well-being for them. And so as we build out programming for our hotels and think about the guest experience across all of our hotels, and certainly within our luxury hotels, thinking about how we bring those authentic experiences, everything from design to sensory to programming into the hotel is really important. Customers want to recharge, they want to rejuvenate, they want to have experiences that are authentic, and they want to nourish their bodies. And when we bring that to the general manager and thinking about the conversations we're having with our general managers, again, this isn't a new conversation for us. But it is certainly something that we are very focused on, and it comes to empowerment of our general managers to really understand and know their hotel and empower them around partnerships that they think are important locally within their hotel or also within the local community. Thoughtful as we build out, renovations in hotels, thoughtful room designs, and think about what does that feel like in the guest journey, the programming in the food and beverage outlets and culinary experiences, and examples that our general managers are doing great things in thinking about their hotels, the mindfulness spaces for guests, whether it's an area within the hotel to read and relax, or it's the outdoor areas where, in the gardens or whatever the hotel is, where the guests can really have that time to themselves and recharge. So those are just some examples.
I love it. And I know, Dustin, on this same topic, you think a lot about personalization and really creating bespoke experiences for the traveler. Would love to hear how you think about that, and then maybe kick it to Anna as our representative of the guest experience on what you're seeing.
Yeah, so I think there are a couple ways we can approach personalization. At Canyon Ranch, we say we need to meet the guests where they are. Health and wellness are complex. We said it's physical, mental, social, so mind, body, spirit. There are different ways of thinking about it. And we are in an age where there's a ton of information, and more information is almost more confusing than helpful right now. So, for example, I'm a big advocate of wearable health technologies, and I have a PhD in sports science, and I don't understand a lot of the data that comes out of the wearable. Yeah, there we go. That comes out of these wearables. And I have good friends who are world experts in physiology who call me and say, I know you've been working with this thing a lot, but what does that actually mean? And what do we do with it? And that's just one example. But right now we're flooded with, whether it's social media or technology, or anything we can find on the internet. There's a lot of information, and we need experts to help us sort through all of that data and separate signal from noise so we can make good health and wellness decisions with it. And so I think we're going to see a trend towards kind of like what we're seeing in the concierge health industry right now, where there are more places where you can pay for access to spend more time with experts. I think we're going to see that more in the luxury hospitality space, where we understand that when people want to get away and focus on wellness, which is behavior change, they're going to look for guidance. And I think that is the type of personalization we can expect industry to move towards.
Love it. And Anna, you are an expert in wellness tourism, and have many observations on what you're seeing both pre and post pandemic, but would love to hear about some of your recent experiences.
So this year I visited Viva Meyer in Austria, which is what Dustin was saying, is very specialized and personalized with experts and medical teams that actually meet with you where you are and help you, either cure from something that you have been having chronically, or just to, basically disconnect and have like a truly immersive experience with your body. And so it's more of a medical side of experience, the one they do, but I've seen a big shift in the industry in the US that has adapted into that type of concept that they've been doing in Austria for years. And I visited Reset, which is in Colorado, and it's more of an experience of like going outdoors, taking your body to an extreme level of either exercise or like mind and body experience that is all personalized. So although they don't do a lot of the data work that Austria has been doing for years, it's the start of implementation of that concept that I think is shifting in the hospitality industry. And hotels like, for example, Les News in Positano is starting to use, they're a luxury hotel, but they're using all the time that is like non-touristy after the shoulder season in November to do retreats with people that, love Italy. They probably want to disconnect and they don't want to have crowds and like tourists around. So that's like a huge move, I think, within hotels right now that are seeing that, like shift of travelers that are looking for more than just a regular stay. They want to feel like it's an extension of their home or an extension of like a gym, but outdoors. And I think these offerings are going to be huge for big hotels that want to attract that type of traveler.
So fascinating. On the topic of wellness tourism, Nia, you've talked about both primary and secondary consumers of wellness, those for whom wellness is the priority in the vacation, and then a business traveler who may want to stay well on the road. Would love to hear your thoughts on that and the differences. And then Laura, I know Hilton brands cater to business travelers year round. Would love to hear what you're seeing too. Oh, Nia, you're on mute.
I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry. I think it's important for listeners to know that prior to the pandemic, wellness travel and tourism was growing twice as fast as global tourism worldwide. And then the pandemic came and suddenly wellness meant safety and hygiene. And now post-pandemic, you have a much smarter, sophisticated consumer that's interested in maintaining those healthy habits on the road, kind of like what Anna said. And for our industry and for the people that are listening today, secondary wellness travelers, those are people that are looking to maintain their healthy habits on the road, whether for business, leisure, bleisure, combination of it. And that's where the greatest opportunity is from a financial standpoint for hoteliers around the globe. Finding ways to really understand what the health and wellness habits are of your consumers and how they want to maintain them when they're staying with you is critically important. And the biggest economic point of view is that they tend to spend twice as much as their generic counterparts when it comes to auxiliary revenue at hotels. And so there's a real financial incentive, aside from the fact that it's about delivering the best care and service to your guests. There's a real financial incentive to understand what those habits are so that you can best deliver on them during the time that your guests are staying with you.
Laura, I'd be curious for what you're seeing on that front.
Yeah, I think, look, the business traveler is coming back in different ways, right? So, some hotels are full right now with lots of people traveling for lots of different reasons as life blends together, whether what was a traditional business traveler was doing a typical Tuesday to Thursday travel and staying in a hotel. That might look a little bit different, but they're still out there traveling now, and they might be staying, coming to a hotel and staying for weeks on end because they're deciding to work remotely. I think it goes back to, what I said a little bit earlier, that the travelers want to be met where they are, right? So the routines that they've picked up in their life during the pandemic are things that they want to be, have access to. There is no more sort of, oh, I'll pick that up when I get back home, and these are my routines on the road and these are my routines in life. It's just this seamless world that we live in now. And whether a traveler is traveling for individual business or for a big meeting, they expect that, whether it's within the hotel or within the local community, that they can keep up with those travel experiences. And so as we build out, products and programming and partnership, thinking about how do we bring those things into our hotels in a relevant way, for those business travelers to keep the routine on the road.
Yes. On that note, hybrid has been a word that's been on the tip of our tongue, in-house at Peloton, for many years. And our product was really invented to be an in-home piece of fitness equipment. And what we're seeing in our research now is this hybrid customer, hybrid behavior. They might go to work 3 days a week and be home on the other days, but about 60% of our members want to continue their exercise regime at home, outdoors, at work, in a hotel. So curious for trends you're seeing on fitness specifically, whether that's around usage of the fitness center, an expectation for in-room offerings, and kind of what that landscape looks like to you for the group.
Sure. Look, fitness is a huge, not the only component, but a huge component of how we think about wellness at Hilton. And so for different travelers, it means different things. For some, it's a incredibly well-equipped gym within the hotel that stays relevant with the equipment, but nails the basics. For others, it's bring in their running shoes and they want to know that they're staying at a hotel that can guide them to go experience, whether it's an authentic run in the local community or something just quick and dirty that they need to get out there and do before they start their day. And so we're looking at both angles of that. And I think our recent partnership announcement with Peloton is a great example of that, right? We made a decision to put out an industry-leading initiative to bring Peloton bikes into 5,400 hotels across the US based off of what we know is happening with customers. They love the Peloton brand. They want to experience it when they're on the road. We know through work with Peloton and the great teams there, Joanna, with your teams, that 90% of members said, I want to keep this routine on the road. And so this gave us a great opportunity to think about how do we bring not only the physical product into our 5,400 hotels across the US, but also allow our guests that either maybe haven't experienced Peloton before to benefit from the great programming and content at Peloton, to keep the routine on the road or try a new routine. Some travelers want to experience new things in hotels that they don't have access to at home, and maybe take that with them as an experience that they started at Hilton.
Joanna, one thing I'll just add to that I think is really important for industry leaders to note. I think a lot of people, we were speaking about this at the summit last week, the industry sort of underestimated the desire to return to bricks and mortar. A lot of people thought that, as you mentioned, home fitness is a part of the overall fitness regime, but the reality is people really looked to their fitness centers as their third place. Some people thought it was Starbucks between work and home. It really became their yoga studios, their Orange Theories, their Barry's Boot Camp. And we had leaders from Planet Fitness, for example, at the event. And it was really clear that people underestimated the rush that was going to go back to group fitness and classes and health clubs and so forth. And I think hotels have this untapped potential of having sort of these tired, quiet fitness centers to really be a place where people convene. And maybe this is not as possible in resort settings, but in urban settings, certainly where you can tap into the local marketplace and be a third place for people that live nearby is a really important underutilized aspect of our industry right now that I think hoteliers can really tap into.
Yes, I agree. I think I see it in both angles, because you have the traveler that wants to reconnect with people and the other traveler that actually wants to have that in-room experience of that, like a personalized, like kind of safe environment, because they are still coming out of the pandemic, and realize that there's like so much wellness that happens within a room, right? But how do you tap on that concept and yet also offer like the possibility to have a group of people versus just having a one-to-one experience in your room?
Yeah, it's been really, oh, sorry. It's been really
ahead.
fascinating things that we've been testing not only continue to evolve and keep the fitness experience, like the example with Peloton in the fitness room, but we've also been piloting and testing in room, evolving what we had, which was a product called 5 Feet to Fitness, and it was a in-room fitness program that we've had for years, and we've just launched that back with our hotels with an option with Peloton now. We've just recently launched a new program to allow our hotels to have this great in-room experience. And the beauty of a product, like this partnership that we feel so good about around Peloton is it's not only the physical bike, but all the content that comes with it. So for that traveler that, wants to, do a quick 10-minute yoga experience or some, weight training or whatever it is that meets their needs, it's no longer about, hey, hotel, I'm going to sort of shove it down your throat what we think you should be doing. But the great world around fitness and technology right now is that things can be compartmentalized into these much smaller footprints to give you this robust optionality as a traveler, and sort of choose your own adventure based off of what's important to you as the traveler, to be met where you are about the habits that you've picked up.
We're so grateful for the partnership with Hilton and excited about what we'll learn from that. And on that note, it feels like we've all been in this test and learn mode the last 2 years as the world opens back up. And we have a phrase, pilot palooza, in-house, because everything feels like it's a test. But curious for this group's thoughts on what's been most surprising, whether it's a shift in offerings or what you've noticed about guest behavior, or Anna, in your case, guest experience. What's been surprising to you?
I think definitely the power of personalization and the use of technology in some properties I visited, like the Rosewood Hotel and the Park Hyatt. They're both implementing the Bright sleep technology, which is a bed that allows you to document your sleep. And basically what I loved about it is that you leave the experience of the hotel with the data on your health and how you sleep. And I think that's fascinating, that you have like a takeaway from your stay. And I just think that's really powerful when it comes to experience for guests. If you are allowed to have these readily available technology in your bedroom, as well as personalized spa treatments and things that happen within your room. I think that's something that I've seen a lot more than before. Also calls from actually concierges from hotels to check on your diet, to assess everything before your arrival. I think it's just such a nice element and touch from properties that are thinking ahead before you even arrive to their property. So I think all of those little elements are easy to implement in hotels that haven't started yet, and really make the experience as a guest totally like luxurious, in my opinion.
Yeah. First of all, Anna, I would love to be your permanent +1 in your in another lifetime.
You're welcome to come.
Great. Done. But you mentioned sleep data, and I looked to Dustin. Sleep as a piece of the wellness puzzle, I feel like is a latecomer after, the typical fitness and nutrition, but curious what Canyon Ranch is doing on sleep, or if there's any work, research, you guys have in motion on that topic.
Yeah, we've invested a lot in the sleep science space. I come from the sport performance world, where in the last few years we learned that sleep is the ultimate form of recovery, both mental and physical. And people all over the world get poor sleep. And there are simple things we can do to optimize sleep. We just had our first big educational event. It was a sleep immersion 2 weeks ago, where we brought in a world expert in sleep science, complemented Dr. Grandner, that expert, with multiple speakers and services from different specialties. So physicians would do sleep studies with people. Dietitians would teach you how to optimize your food intake so that you could get better sleep, and time things like caffeine and alcohol and all these bad habits that we have that could affect our sleep, in order to, make that not affect you as much. And the event went amazing. We sold out. We have feedback already that this event literally changed my life. We're getting emails like that trickling in every day. And we're going to have our second one, I believe it's in April, in Lenox at our other property. And I think so like Anna brought up the Bright Bed, which is a great product. And we had them here during that event actually to show off. And there are a number of other products like that. I think those things are going to be more prevalent in the hospitality area. And I think that, very soon you'll be able to go to these places and know how something like sleep was doing when you came in to your vacation, and then work on some things and have some objective measures of how you're doing coming out of them. And that's an exciting change in the industry.
Yes, I totally agree. I think travel has become a lot more educational in that area of spiritual, physical, things that we never really talked about before that are a huge element in travel. And so it's exciting. It's exciting because definitely, as Dustin is saying, there's just so much technology coming out every month. And I think the traveler is just going to leave with so much data from just like a regular visit to, like any destination really, not just for work, but for leisure.
So on that, there's so much that an operator can do to enhance or optimize the guest experience on the wellness front, from now we're talking sleep personalization. But what's also been thematic in the headlines over the last few years is staff shortages, constraints around in employees. Are we back to full service, full staff capacity? And then there's this irony around self-care, right? Hospitality staff is so oriented towards the experience of the guest. How do we make sure they're taking care of themselves and giving, time and space for that? But maybe Mia or Laura, curious for your thoughts on the topic.
I think it's the number one issue we have now. I mean, we've all seen the data and seen how many workers have left the hospitality industry in the millions around the globe. And I think at the end of the day, we can't ask our colleagues to deliver on wellness experiences for consumers if they're not caring for their own well-being, and more specifically, if they don't feel allowed to care for their own well-being as part of their work life in hospitality. One of the I think shining stars in this is the Breakers in Florida. I got to spend time with them last week, and what they're doing to care for their colleague well-being is exceptional, and certainly been a model that you've read about in Forbes and Fortune and otherwise. So I do think in light of what we've all been through, in light of how hospitality has been uniquely affected in the loss of labor, in light of the fact that we're all being asked to do more with less, I think it's critically important. It needs to be a number one agenda for us to deliver wellness. We have to care for the well-being of our colleagues first, and that also includes modeling it as leaders and GMs.
Laura, would love your thoughts on the same topic and how Hilton's thinking about employee wellness, employee self-care.
Yeah, I would say, look, Hilton has prioritized team member wellness for far before the pandemic. We have our team member value proposition, and with a partnership with Thrive Global, and we've had programming within our hotels around mind, body, and spirit, and thinking about everything from the physical back of the house. We call it the heart of the house, right? What does that environment look like in the hotel for our team members that work really hard, whether it's from housekeeping to front desk and everything in between in the hotel? And so when they have their time, their downtime within the hotel, what does that physical experience look like to make sure that they have time to relax and recharge? And I would say we've been on that journey intensely. We were on that journey, and we're catching up a little bit in a different way on our customer facing journey to be more to evolve what we're looking at on our customer facing journey. So the team member value proposition around taking care of themselves and making sure we have the right environment and the right benefits for our team members, certainly within our managed hotel, and then you know, opportunities and encouragement for our owners in our franchise hotels to make sure that we're creating the right programming within our hotels. When we stand up a new product and service across any one of our brands, we put a mindset of it. This is going to be good for the customer, but what is this going to feel like for the team member, whether it's in one of our managed or franchise hotels, to execute on that experience for our guests? And we have to make sure that it is also conducive for our team members. And that fits into the well-being of our team members as well. If we're asking them to do impossible tasks for our guests, that's not good for them. And in turn, it won't be good for our guests. So we continue to look at, you know, all that we're building within our brands and how it impacts the team member. Going back to your point, Joanna, about staffing models, we are seeing things pick back up, and we are seeing things loosen up and more team members coming back into the hospitality business. But we also have a lot of, which is an exciting opportunity, but a lot happening in the hospitality business. We have a lot of new people. A lot of people that never worked within hotels that have raised their hand and said, I'd love to have an experience in a hotel. So we're really thinking about, what does that environment look like for somebody who's new into the hotel business, into the hospitality business? And how do we think about caring for them, both from a mental well-being and a physical well-being standpoint? So the work's not done by any stretch, but it's been a top priority for us and will continue to be a top priority for sure.
That's wonderful. And it sounds like you guys have a lot in motion. The heart of the house. I like that. On theme, Mia, you've talked about bringing humanity back to hospitality, and with that, more human-centric marketing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that philosophy?
Sure. I mean, I really think, you know, for a while I've been thinking we need to humanize and democratize health and well-being for the industry. But when it comes to humanity, and marketing, we just need to remember individually, you know, travel as a kid used to be such an amazing experience that I was excited about. And the older we've gotten, it's some of the fun's been taken out of it. A lot of the fun has been taken out of it. And I think we just have to remember, as we market to consumers, you know, walk in their shoes, literally. I mean, nothing is better than feeling truly seen upon check-in. Nothing is better than feeling like someone is actually related to the fact that you just flew past 3 time zones trying to get to them. You're exhausted and tired and have a meeting to attend. And I just think that sometimes we get too formulaic and too robotic in how we reach consumers. And I think if we take a real heart-centered approach, a real humane approach, that is half the battle when it comes to wellness and well-being and hospitality. And certainly on the consumer side, but also for the colleague side, we just can't forget what it means to be and feel human. And as long as we relate to each other under that lens, I think the sky's the limit when it comes to delivering on wellness and hospitality.
I love that. As we look forward, and Anna, you're someone that is a day in, day out actively influencing consumer choices on wellness and on travel. What sort of trends are you seeing in the market?
I think personalization is like probably the top that I'm seeing, just because the hotels want to learn more about the guests. They are in the process of learning whether they're going to implement more offerings, or when it comes to diet or fitness, all of that is starting to switch. So I personally think that it's just going to get even more personalized. You're going to have more in-room experiences that are going to be catered to your needs. Because I think that's like the first step that is the easiest for hotels to reach to that that particular traveler, to connect with them in like a more personal level. As Mia was saying, I think they really want to, the hotels I think right now want to learn how you feel when you are in their property. They want to make you feel like you're in an extended stay in your home somewhere, or like that it doesn't feel as, like as, I don't know how to explain it, as I don't know, like I think it's more about like making you feel at home. I think the concept of how can I go somewhere and feel like it's an extended stay of what I have at home, but in a more elevated way. I think perhaps that's how I see it. But it's constantly changing. It's just, this is what I've been seeing the last month. So yeah.
That's so interesting. And I'm curious, to make you feel at home is a thing, and to make you feel like it's an escape is a thing. And I wonder if that's changed with the last few years we've had.
I think it has, because before, as Mia was saying, everything was very much like a robot. Like I think hotels would just perform as far as they were told, and like kind of like a script. And now it feels different to me when I travel. I feel that I get to speak more with the staff from hotels. Like they ask me a lot more questions than before without being intrusive. I think it feels like they are definitely taking a step towards trying to meet the traveler as close as they can without, being too personal, but allowing the traveler to feel more at ease and more comfortable, offering a lot more things within like the menu of, spa treatments or food options. Yes, I think it has expanded in a way that allows the traveler to feel more welcomed than before. Because if you think about it, hotels they had to step it up to get travelers back to visit their property. So they're all trying their best, I think, to try to meet that traveler, to get them back into their property, but with a new experience, more personalized, more thoughtful.
It's super interesting, and probably a delicate line to toe as the operator or as the staff, like how to be personalized without overstepping or being intrusive. Last question for the group, and I'd love to hear everyone's perspective on this. It's been a tough few years on both the wellness front and on the hospitality front. It's been threatened, it's been paused, it's now rebuilding. That obviously requires a degree of resilience. Curious what keeps you motivated to work in this industry as long as you've had, and what keeps you optimistic about the next few years? Maybe Dustin will kick off with you.
Yeah, I'm the new guy to the hospitality industry. I was laughing earlier when that came up, that people are jumping over from other industries to see what this is about. What I think is really exciting is we've talked about, after the pandemic, people really are focusing on health and wellness. They were scared by seeing the people that had bad outcomes were the people who hadn't taken care of themselves before this virus came out. And it was a wake-up call that we need to, eat right, exercise, do mental health stuff. I love that Atomic Habits is like on the top 5 bestseller list for months now. That shows you people are really trying to make change. And I think they're going to places to help create that change. They're looking for guidance and expertise, and the hospitality industry is going to get to morph and kind of become this new thing that maybe it wasn't thought as before. And that's an exciting challenge for us to take on.
Love it. That Atomic Habits, James Clear,
Yeah.
double that plug. Mia, how about you? What keeps you resilient and motivated?
I really think it comes down to one word, and it would be connection. I think we're living in somewhat of a divisive world right now. If you're reading headlines and it's election season and seeing what's happening politically around the world. And I do feel like travel is the number one way to connect to ourselves and to each other, and to really see how alike we are, regardless of where we find ourselves culturally today. I felt that when I was in Israel last week. I feel that way wherever I travel, that we have so much more in common than we do apart, really. And so I think travel and hospitality, wellness, but I would say hospitality at large, gives us an opportunity to connect to ourselves and each other and other cultures. And we need that more than ever, echoing the theme of being human and really kind of leading with love. I feel like that's all coming together, and travel is the best way for us to stay connected to reality and to each other.
I love that. Connect and also vote. Anna, curious, what keeps you motivated and optimistic in this world?
I'm going to echo Mia. I think connection is everything. More than it just keeps me motivated, because I feel like traveling to me is it's like a mental sort of spa session, if you want to call it. Like every time I travel, I regroup, I balance myself in ways that I can't get to have at home for some reason. So travel to me rebalances me, reconnects me to my creativity. But also I think what I love about travel and the connection that it entails is that you are able to be a vessel to show people that, travel is a beautiful thing. And it also allows for you to, feel better mentally and physically, to get out of your house, to be more adventurous, more curious about the world and how easy it is to travel. I think some people are afraid after the pandemic. They sometimes don't know how to approach it anymore. So I think merging wellness and travel allows to, for you to tell a great story about, how travel has changed you, how it connects you with people, what you discover about yourself. I think mostly is like something that I love. When I travel, I learn things about me every time.
Love it. Travel as a mental spa session. I think this is amazing. And then last but not least, Laura, what keeps you motivated and optimistic?
Yeah, look, I feel so privileged and so grateful. I've had to find my passion in hotels, and have made a career in starting in the front lines of hotels and seeing lots of things over the many years that I've been in the hotel business. There was nothing harder for the hospitality business during the height and the horrors of what we all went through. But what is so inspiring to me is how, as an industry, we continue to rebound. First and foremost, how travelers want to be out there. You cannot stop people from traveling. Like, they are out there. They want to be out there as soon as they felt like it was safe, and the environment was creating safe environments for them, whether, whatever brand they were staying at or however they chose to travel. They were back out there. You can't stop people. There's this insatiable desire to get out there and see the world, or see a community, or see your country. And so, to me, feel so grateful to be in this chapter of the hospitality business, because we all have this incredible opportunity to paint the next chapter, to figure out, how do we take all these learnings of this really tough time, build it into the next chapter, and make travel even better than we ever imagined it could be. So I'm incredibly optimistic about the future, and feel really privileged to be a part of it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much to our brilliant panelists for joining us today. I know I took a lot away from this conversation, as well as a burst of optimism. I'm leaving feeling very hyped up. And thank you all for joining us, for tuning into this webinar. We really appreciate it, and look forward to more dialogue on this topic. Thank you.